Okay, we're gonna run through August the 29th's price action, just a random replay mode backtesting video. So let's start doing our levels. I would probably mark out this bearish order block on the top side here. Starting to get an idea of where price is going. I'd say close this higher, or this bullish order block's going to hold. Okay, what's the next thing to happen after this holds? It would be momentarily flipping direction from this bearish order block. So it would most likely come down into this range. We have a high and a low. Go into a lower time frame to take a look at that range. So 4 hour, we can see the high and lows here. So if this remains true, shouldn't really close below this level. And then on the top side we have this high, so if we do hold here, our target will be up here. Also momentarily flip from here. These are my levels on the 4 hour. And then we just kind of jump down onto time frames or lower time frames to see if that starts to make sense. So far we've not got to our level yet, so we can go as low as this. We don't have to go as low as that. We do have the midpoint of the 4 hour here, the open of the 4 hour, then go back to the 15. We want to see if we are holding this level or we are not holding this level and we're trying to go deeper. The first sign of it trying to go deeper would be closing this low here, using this order block to try and break this low here. This is the only low that closed, no highs closed, creating lower highs as time goes on as well. Until this point we close a high, but I would kind of wait here just because we closed this first. I'd want to see this close before I can confirm the holding of this level, and we're not trying to go deeper into this one. So jump down to a lower time frame. Just going to stay on the 5 minute for the time being, just because it's the new session's about to start and the price action's really choppy and slow. Okay, cool. So because we've broke this now, I'm sure we broke on the 15. This is telling me that this 4 hour level's holding. Next range to hold, we closed this, order block held for that range, closed this, closed these highs. The order block for these highs is this level here. So I'd be looking at the high of the order block, the midpoint of the order block, which is just the 4 hour level here. And I would kind of want to see if this high is going to close. If I think this high is going to close, and there's a 1 hour, 1 minute range here, we could have taken that for a long, knowing full well we need to close this. We have to stay over this for 15 minutes for this to close before we continue down. Because if we close it on a 5 minute, but we don't close it on the 15 yet, we still need to remain above this video, this level here. We didn't test it on the 5 minute, so right now it doesn't look like we're going to take this high. It looks like we might come down before we take that high to then come back down again. So I want to see lows close, confirm we're not going higher for that level. Couple of lows have closed here. I want to now see us hold this level, and then create a range I can get in off of. And go as high as here if this is going to hold. We don't know if it's going to hold yet, but if it's going to, this is where it should do. It's not going to hold that, so now we can only anticipate we're going to stay above this for 15 minutes, right? So we're not taking short until this shows us it's holding, because we thought we can still target this. We could have shorted if it held this, closed this low. There was an order block there we could get an off of, but there wasn't, nothing held. we have to stay above here for 15 minutes, or in just until the candle closes, which would have been here. So it's closed already. So we can anticipate we might get a run down before we go higher. Doesn't have to, obviously, but it does have to go quite a distance. So we can expect it might come all the way down before going up, going to a higher time frame with a 1 hour range that just closed. Go forward a few 15-minute candles. Get a gist of what's going on. Okay, the fact we created a range here and then closed it, there isn't a real low. I've never actually seen 5 consecutive candles with the same low. It's kind of crazy. There's no low here on the 15. There's a higher. There is a low on the 5, so we do have a range. So if this range holds, this is confirming to me that we're not going to visit down, and we are going to continue higher. So I want to see if this is going to hold. Close this. We can return to the order block. If this holds, closes this, moves us up to this range, and that is the sign of this order block actually holding, and this is actually confirming the move up. Which it's not. So the only thing I will expect here is now that run down into the lower level. So now we can start looking for a short. So we have our first actual trade setup that we can look for now. We closed the low, order blocks up here. So if we're not holding off of the low, we should come up to the order block instead before we go lower. So that means until we get to that, we can take shorts in longs in this range until we get up to this level, or maybe even as low as the fair value gap, the lower the fair value gap. So if there was a long available in this range, then we could take that, because we've got to get all the way up to here until it can come down. There's something I'd look at first is the 15-minute. Okay. Now I no longer think we need to long up to here. We need to close this on the 15-minute to confirm the move down. So hop back onto the 1 minute. We have to stay below this level for a closure in the 15. So the 15-minute candle closes here, so for the next 15 minutes we have to stay below this level. So what I'll be anticipating here is we close this low. The place price should project up to is going to be here. Okay, so this should hold us to break this low, and then if it wants to, it can come back higher, but it has to close this within the next 2 candles to confirm we're moving lower. The next 2 candles on the 15-minute is what I'd be looking for. So now that we've confirmed that we still need to close this on the 15-minute, I don't think we need to come as high as this anymore. We want to see if this is holding. We want this to be taken out now. If we was shorting, we would have been in here. Stop loss above this to target this. If we're waiting for that bait range to confirm and not going higher, which I would be, I would wait for a new range to be created, trade back up into it. We haven't closed this low yet, which hasn't completely satisfied this move down, but we can still come up to here, and this can still hold to then close this. So a trade back up into here we can take to close that, if it doesn't already now. So something like that we could have done. Trades back up right here. Where's the order block for this range? Not the best looking range, but it would be here. We have our stop loss either at this high or just a bit higher. I would lead you towards having the opposing higher. When you start to get a bit better, you can move it a tad lower. I've started to now have a bigger stop loss instead of just having it here. I now have it a bit smaller than the opposite at the high previously. So I'd have mine here. I'd be targeting 2R myself. 1R would be here, so you'd already be out of this anyway. Falls off a cliff, and the reason why we didn't think it had to come up to here anymore was because we still needed to close out in the 15-minute. So if we still need to close it on a higher time frame, why would we now just randomly come all the way up here? Because if we was coming all the way up here, there's no reason why this should hold anymore, because on a higher time frame this would have just swept to now close above this high. Because if we're sweeping one side, we're closing the other side. On the 5-minute it would have looked like we closed it, yeah, but on the 15 we swept it. So when we come up to here, all it's going to do is break above here and go higher. So if we're coming down, it's going to come all the way down to here. We're going to a higher time frame and see what's the earliest it can come down to before it flips. Oh, this is the highest fair value gap on the 1 hour. So I'd look at the midpoint of that level. That's the only thing I would look at on the 1 hour. Get rid of all this stuff. So if this is holding, which there's no signs of it holding yet, we've only just developed a range. So what I want to see here is going to be a push up above this high, which is confirming to me we're trying to hold this level. We've closed the high here. Try and take that order block up to this range. It can still go a lot deeper. So the likelihood that this doesn't hold is quite likely. And we've already seen that fail. So now we've taken out this low. I want to go on a 5-minute and see if we have a range. Is there any reason to stay under here for 5 minutes? No, we don't have a range on the 5-minute. It's only a 1-minute range. So we've held it aggressively, which it potentially will do because we're moving down aggressively. Or we come up here for a slow move down. I'd lead towards the aggressive trade in this scenario. Just because, like I said, we're moving down aggressively. This is still quite high up in the range. We can still go all the way down until this level. That's quite a distance down, which it does so. And now we have this range here that we could trade. If we don't get to a level beforehand. Which we want to hop back onto the 15-minute real quick. Go back 2 candles. Make sure we've got every level inside of here. So it's the lowest fair value gap. This is the order block. Midpoint of the order block is that 4-hour level. Yeah. So this is going to be the next point it should try and hold. Just misses it. So we can still come a bit deeper here. So if we don't test, if we wasn't to test this and we close this higher, I wouldn't take this range. I wouldn't take this order block because we haven't tested our level yet. Meaning I'd want to see that actually hold, create a new range that I can get in off of. That hasn't happened, which is just 10 times better for a move. Likelihood of this holding is quite low because we've hit target. Can still obviously hold and take us deeper down, which it has done. So if the next level down is the midpoint of this Fair Value Gap, we failed to hold the high of the Fair Value Gap, close the low, we could see this hold in to bring us down to that. Which is exactly what happens. Why? Because that's the next level it needs to go to. If it's failing this level, when the next level's here. So even if we know we're going to long up at some point off of one of these levels, we can still take a short down when we get to the level if we're failing it, because it's showing us we're digging deeper down into the next level. So what you could have done here would have just been taking this candle wherever you wanted to get in the low, the midpoint, sticking your stop loss above the previous high and targeting 1R down to here. That's the target, which is where I would go for in this scenario. I do target 2R, but in a scenario where the next level down isn't 2R, and then I would just take the next target, so 1.76. Now we've got to it, I wouldn't be taking a short because we got to our next target, so we don't know if it's gonna move up now or it's gonna go lower. If it's gonna go lower, it's gonna actually hold this and then close that, and then we can go for that order block. If it doesn't, we want to see this high go. What's going to confirm that high going is going to be this high getting taken out as well. And if we take this out, we hold this and then close this, we can still then come down to the same exact level, because this order block is the same for this range and this range. Because we have an interior range, like a very interior range, where we have the high here, this black candle, the high, and then the low, and then the bigger range we have the high and the low. Coming up here, we're holding it. This could just be momentarily flipping us down to the order block to show us we're going higher. Or the fair value gap. It doesn't have to be the order block. It can be the fair value gap. I'm going to take this off of the screen now because it looks pretty ugly. So we want to see if this is holding. It can go as low as this, sweep it and move higher. Is there a reason to get in a trade yet? Not really. You could potentially been in it already with your stop loss below the low. Personally, I'd want to wait to see if it's holding. I'd kind of want to see this high go, take out this high, and then take this range. But there's still nothing wrong with taking this one. So at this point, if I was in the trade, I would be thinking, if I did get in at the midpoint of this candle, just because we gained it, I know it wasn't the order block, this is the order block, but you have to see here, if you went for the midpoint of it before gaining it, this moved up, so it would have got you in and then came down. Definitely doesn't look like the best one, no. And this is why I'd want to wait to see this range go, because in the grand scheme of things, this shouldn't hold if this is holding. We closed this tried to hold, it failed. What I want to kind of see is the higher high go, where we have this interior high. So I'd want to see that go, hold, close this, and then come down and hold it again. Because this isn't confirming. This holding hasn't confirmed we're going up yet. We have to close this before we actually decide that we are going up, because this is the range that tested in to that level. We need to close that range to confirm that we are moving higher. We didn't close that range. We closed the interior range. We wanted to see if it held, and then we could take the same level again to then break higher. Didn't happen, so we can only expect we're going to go down to our next level. Go on to the lower time frame real quick. Five-minute levels here. This is the order block for the whole entire range. We have the 15-minute is obviously this level here. Oh, we have the inversion fair value gap, but I didn't see that. I just didn't close. This didn't close down, so we have the lowest inversion fair value gap as well. So I'd look at the next level would have been the midpoint of this inversion fair value gap. The next place it can hold. So do I assume this is going to hold? No, it still can. What's going to confirm we're going higher is going to be taking this higher out. It is also the 5-minute higher, so we're going to have to wait here until the 5-minute candle closes. We've not closed it on the 1 minute yet. This range needs to hold for it to close, or we're going to come all the way down. This doesn't mean we're going to foul if we don't close this. We do have an interior range that closed, so our final line of defense is going to be this order block. If this doesn't hold, then we will be going on to our next level. So basically what you're doing is just reacting off of what's holding and what isn't. Just mark out all your levels and just see what happens when you get to them. Any reason to get in? Not really, no. You want to see if it holds, because it's the final line of defense. You don't want to just aimlessly get in off of it. We swept the top, we're going to break the bottom down to our next level. Remember, it can go as low as this before we go higher. So is this holding? We want to see if this is holding. We have a high and a low. We need to close that high. Swept the bottoms, that we should break the top. So this is kind of already confirming we're going to break that high. Highs broke now. Okay, we broke that higher. We can return down into this range. So we can go as low as the order block, obviously, or the low. But we can go as high as this inversion fair value gap. So we've tested down now. We could definitely get in a long here. They have a bit of a big stop loss. Your stop loss will be all the way down at the low, but it compensates for all of this sideways movement, right? Let's say you got in here, your stop loss is still only 13. Move it a bit smaller. If you was on an express account, you would have been able to get into this trade even entering as high as here. I wouldn't enter until this, personally. So what you could do is, let's say it tests, well, this in the moment you'd been anticipating this being the order block, right? Because none of this has been printed yet. None of that's been printed yet. What you need to do, obviously, is have your stop loss below the previous low, because you can go as deep as that. Having it here isn't compensating for anything. As you can see, a couple of candles later, you find out you've been stopped out and you was right on direction. Have it below the low, because it can go as deep as that. You're anticipating this being the low. What's going to make you take more wins is just having it below the actual low that's been put in, because no low has been confirmed yet until we close the high. No low has been confirmed. We can go as low and keep going all the way down. The low could be all the way down here. So this low has already been put in. And your 1R is going to be here. If you was waiting for this range to show us you're holding, then what you could have done is range got created here. This is the order block. What you could have done now, if you was waiting, is have this near enough the same target as well. This is what you could have done. This is the next range. Close the high. Closing this low doesn't mean anything. It was taking us down to the target. Interior range, exterior range. Exterior range is going to be more in control than the interior. That one wouldn't have worked out. This one is still in play. Right, this one is still in play. Trying to target up to here. And what you do, right, is once you test the next target is when you break even. Like I was saying to both you the other day, is once you test the first target, you need to be break even, because if you can't close that, and even if you do, if it's coming all the way down to your position, it's quite a risky move, especially because you're only targeting 1R. You need to close this. This was the next level it needs to test into. It fails it, you're break even because you tested it. Because if you're failing this, it's going to come all the way down. It's the same thing here. Same thing here. Your next level to test this here, that means in this trade as well, you need to be break even, because if you fail here after testing it, it's going to plummet all the way down. Closed, failed, of course it's going to short down at this point. Now remember, you can go as low as this. As low as this. So what you need to be doing is just reacting off of every single level, because there's a trade in every single range off of every single level. You just have to logically make the right decisions off of every single one. If our next level's down here, we can hold the low aggressively, and that's why it goes down aggressively, because our next level is down. There's no reason why we need to come all the way up here. So what you could have done here is you either have that big stop loss, or you just missed a trade, or you have it a bit smaller to where you can get in the trade. Whereas here, 1R to your next level, you could have taken this. Having it here doesn't compensate for anything other than the high. This is the trades I take. This is the trades you shouldn't take. Like I said, even I am having mine a bit higher these days, because I know the likelihood of me getting stopped out in these trades are a lot higher, but because I don't care if I lose or win, I'm okay with taking this with my stoppers here. But like I said, I've been moving it a bit higher just because my win rate's going to be a bit higher. I'm not going to be in as many trades doing this as well, because it's aggressive, and you can just take 2 losses straight up if you're being as aggressive as that. You've got to your level. This shouldn't hold. This isn't going to hold again. It already tested. Go into a higher time frame. Where can it flip before going lower again? It's going to be here. This should just slip us down to a range down here. We would be hoping that we come up and take this high. This is the first high. This is the first high actually, but this is the higher of this order block, whereas the order block for this high would have just been this range here. Cool. So this is flipping us down to the range below. This closing doesn't mean anything, we've not got down yet. So what we could have done is if it's traded up, we could have shorted down to that. Just like so. Now this should hold us if we're going higher. We want to go into a 5-minute time frame real quick just to confirm we didn't miss anything. We want to go back. What does this look like? Well, this does look like it's shorting, but because we think this is where it's going to flip, this should only flip us down to here. So we kind of want to see this hold before we get into any long. This is holding, we want this to not do much other than maybe flip us down and then go higher. We need to take out that high to confirm we're going higher. Now we only have to take this one, so that we have a next range. Next range would be here to test into. This range hasn't been gained yet, so if we close here and then test down, I wouldn't be looking at this, I would be looking at this. You could always just, if this does hold, have your stop loss here. Target up here. Where's the next place it's going to flip? Where's going to be the order block? So you don't have to target 1R, you can target 1.13 in this scenario. Doesn't even test it. Cool. So, go back onto the 5-minute. Have we taken out a high yet? No. So what we can do is if a range gets created off of this, we know it needs to stay above here until the candle closes, which is 45. Didn't close, no range got created. But what we could have done if this wasn't around 45 and it was 40 and we had 5 minutes to close here and a range got created, we could have taken along even though this is at the highs because we was anticipating us closing above here. No range got created. If it did, we would have taken a loss, but that's something I would have done myself because I think we're going higher, so we need to close this higher, right? We're going to the 15-minute real quick. Yeah, we still need to close this higher. If we close this low, it can go as high as this before we go lower, but we was assuming, or we are anticipating, price going higher over after holding this. So yeah, logically this is the next place to hold to flip us down, but we're trying to close this, so we could have still tried something. Because a lot of the time direction overrules logic, unfortunately. In this scenario, logic overruled direction. Okay. So if we break this, then it's to confirm it that this isn't holding. We're going to our deepest level. Our deepest level is tested. Go into a higher time frame. This literally has to close on a 4-hour, so we can still remain all the way down here and still go higher. So we could even assume we visit down here if we have to. So we want to see if this is holding. What we want to see is the first high guide. This is the first high. It's already gone in the 15 seconds. You can already tell. Doesn't mean anything. And we go straight down to the opposing level, the next level. Remember, it has to stay under this for 4 hours. The 4-hour candle closes, I believe, at 8 or 9. I think it closes at 9 AM. So it'd have to stay under here for 2 hours to confirm we're going lower, which is quite a big ask. So our idea still remains true. We just went to the deepest level it can possibly go to. There was no entries available, unfortunately, but we can now anticipate a run all the way down after closing the highs. if it wants to. It can hold the highs. Was confirmed it's holding. It's going to be closing this first higher. That's created off of this. This brought us down to that. So that would be our target. Our first target would obviously be the order block, which flips us down. This already held. We didn't take out high, so I don't think the order block is going to hold again. It still can, so I wouldn't take the second long. I would have taken the first one because we're clearly holding aggressively. The first one would have been holding this range, this order block, to try and get up to the bearish order block. So it would have been that. You'd have to have it a bit smaller in this scenario, or the trade wouldn't really be worth taking. You know it's going to flip here, so why would you be targeting here? The first place it flips is going to be the order block. Order block's low there. We could go like 2 ticks deeper, whatever. Still wanna. I wouldn't take the second trade just because we didn't close the higher. I'd want to see that hold to confirm we're still going higher. Close some ranges here, so if we don't close this, I want to go to high time frame real quick. We've closed this now, but we could still go lower if we don't close this, because we could sweep it to break this. So closing this doesn't mean anything. Plus the order block is this 5-minute level here. Okay. It did not close on the 5-minute. Are we holding high aggressively? Is what I want to see. Because if we're holding it aggressively, that means it's trying to close this this high here. We want this high to go if that's holding aggressively. If not, then it's kind of on set to short down to this level. Down to this range. Down here. We've closed the high. Okay, so it's trying to hold aggressively. To try and close on the 5-minute. Now we've closed on the 5-minute. If we don't hold the high aggressively, then these ranges here, now that we've closed this, don't mean anything. I think it can now come all the way down to here, because if it's not holding high, it's going to hold the order block. The only thing you can really say is, if it does hold this level, spikes into here, well, it wouldn't be because of this range, it would be because it's the inversion fair value gap high. And you go straight down to the lower point. Lowest fair value gap in this is going to be all the way down to here. We've not tested any level yet. The 5-minute level is here. This coming up to here could just short us down to this level. It doesn't have to. Still could have tried something in this range if you was trying to go for a short. I wouldn't have personally, because I think we're going higher. Now we've closed this. This is the place it's going to come to. This is your next point of entry. At this point we've already confirmed we're going higher. We closed, we moved down. We've closed, we've moved down to this one. This is the next point. This is your first target. What would I do in this scenario? We didn't gain the midpoint of that, so we wouldn't have been inside of this candle. It clearly, as you can see, we did test it, but it doesn't look like we even attempted to hold above it on the 15-second. It probably tapped above it for about a second, then went lower. This would have been the point you got in at. You have your stop loss below the previous low. It's going to be this level, and we're targeting the order block. the low is still 1, I would target the body to try and get more out of this. 2R would be here for me, but like I said, you got to be logical with your take profits. Go for the first target and then go for the second target on the second trade. In this scenario, it just blew straight through, which is fair enough. So yeah, this video is just basically about reacting off of every single level, taking logical trades off of every single range, not being stupid and trying to get so far away as well, right? Go for your next target, don't go straight for the high, go for the order block first. It's most likely you're going to flip there before it goes up. And also having that bigger stop loss, right, is going to be the main thing for you going forward, getting a lot more wins opposed to having it at a anticipation of a low, because that's kind of where it is when you're getting in off of a anticipation of an order block, is you're also anticipating that's the low of the range, whereas most likely if you're right on direction, it's probably not going to even go to that next low, the previous low. So we need it above the opposing low that's already been put in, instead of the low we're anticipating getting put in. So yeah,